Okay, guys, I am back finally. Feel free to share this out because you know there are a lot of newbies here. Normally, I'd be talking about Star Wars, and there was a little news that came out, and yet another so-called great leakers turned out to be a lying sack of crap. Daniel RPK, Daniel Rickman. Anyway, talk about what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. So yesterday, we discovered that ABC and Disney pulled his show, his late night show. Now that shows basically a legacy show from decades ago with a guy named, what's his name? I'm going to say this, and it wasn't the John Schneider we all know, but John Schneider. Schneider, I think so, maybe. I think Dick Cavett did public TV, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. David Letterman was on CBS, and Johnny Carson, the great Johnny Carson, was on NBC, and that's the way it was. And late night was classy. Some of it was funny. I mean, David Letterman was a comedian. Schneider wasn't. Johnny Carson was basically an announcer that could do comedy, and he could be really, really, really funny. He was also a ginormous alcoholic and an asshole, but in front of the camera, he was all class. Anyway, Stephen Colbert got canceled because he lost $40 million a year. $40 million a year, right? Jimmy Fallon, they haven't talked about, but Jimmy Fallon's whatever. Sinclair Broadcasting got really offended. I'm going to tell you why. Before I got so rudely interrupted by a phone call, hey Sith Assassin, Trela, again. Sorry, my husband called. He got into a fender bender, and look, we've had a long week this week. It has nothing to do with anything else, but let's put it this way: schedules and routine are very rudely disrupted. Okay. Anyway, so we're sitting there, or like, all right, let me explain. Jimmy Kimmel walks out, basically lies through his teeth about Taylor Robinson. Says he was MAGA because his family was MAGA, so therefore. No, he wasn't. All the evidence that we have been given, what was written on the cartridges, what was written on the empty. Here, Fascist Catch, or Catch Fascist, was the one that was shot, that hit Charlie. It was a 30-06 Mauser K98 with a composite stock. Don't know what kind of scope it was, but he was given the rifle. He wasn't, Daddy didn't buy it for him. Daddy couldn't afford that rifle. Very well made craftsmanship from Germany. It's a Mauser. It is the reason why the the K98 was the first bolt action rifle, period. And so he could not afford, the kid could not afford the rifle. So somebody with a lot of money gave it to him. And trust me, the FBI looking into the armed queers of Salt Lake and Trantify and all the rest of that, vile subhuman shit that they are, they'll figure out who gave it to him, because the person that gave him the rifle also committed a felony. All right. There you go. Anyway, Jimmy Kimmel walks out, lies through his teeth. Here's how you do propaganda. You take a little bit of truth and you wrap a lie around it. Now, Trela will say she heard this before. I got a phone call. This is what happened. I'm going to give you an example. The German army, what's left of it, is fighting door to door in Berlin against the Soviets. Joseph Goebbels in Hitler's bunker underneath the chancellery tells the entire world that they're beating the Russians back. He's not lying that they're fighting the Soviets in Berlin. He's lying about beating the Russians back. They weren't. I mean, he's on the radio and you can hear, AK-47s in the background and Russian rifles. It's like, the fuck you talking about, boy? So, and by the time Kimmel walked out with this condescending, semi-retarded, beta male, misogynist smirk, we already knew what was written on the cartridges. An allusion to trans and furries, which makes me want to just go, here, catch fascist or whatever, on the one he fired at Charlie. And there were some other ones. There was, and Ciao Bella, whatever, which is sadly a old Italian folk song that Antifa, which has now been designated a terrorist organization, so fuck you, likes to sing and use it as their commie, they don't sing the Communist International anymore, they sing that. It kind of reminds me of the Nazi Party's own kind of signature song, the Hearst Wessel-Lied. Da 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 da. That's what that sounded like. Anyway, so there's already proof, physical evidence, in the hands of the FBI that this little maggot was a hardcore left-wing psychopath, right? And it is not enough to merely revolt against mommy and daddy. You have to make an ass of yourself. So not only did Robinson ruin Charlie Kirk's family, stole Erica's husband, stole the father of their children, stole the son, his parents, stole a son-in-law, a brother, I think. He destroyed that. He destroyed his own fucking family. In fact, some left-wing group decided they wanted to give the Robinsons $1 million, and they gave it to I think, Turning Point USA. Okay, so here you go. You got Jimmy Kimmel, who's never been one to, A, he was never funny. He's a fucking misogynist and a pervert. B, Donald Trump lives in his head rent-free. And I'm sure it's because Jimmy Kimmel's terrified that the FBI will go knocking on his door to see what's on his computer. There's a Dan Bongino badge in his face, which would scare the shit out of anybody. Going out there and saying something without a shred of human decency, without a shred of any humanity whatsoever. And Sinclair Broadcasting, which owns by far the most ABC, TV stations in areas, in big cities, basically said, we're pulling his show off our stations. What they're going to do is they're going to put a tribute to Charlie Kirk on Friday, I think, and then show it at different times during the weekend. Charlie's funeral being on Sunday. And ABC and Disney have to figure out what they want to do. Now, there are great comedians. Ron White, Joe Rogan is a comedian. John Panette, fucking hilarious. Larry the Cable Guy, Jeff Foxworthy, You know, all the blue collar guys are great. Bill Engvall, um, Steve Martin, uh, a lot of them. You know, a lot of them. And you know, I never liked Andrew Dice Clay because I never thought he was funny. But you know, a lot of them are funny. But there are some like Bill Barr. He stopped being funny the moment he started worrying about his wife giving him blowjobs. And she's a black, angry black woman. And he does not go a day without saying something shitty about the women of his own race to make her happy. And he started going off on President Trump. And I'm like, I'm done. You're not funny anymore. You are not fucking funny anymore. Joey Diaz is funny. Jimmy Kimmel was never funny, right? And there are comedians that just aren't funny. I mean, there's a Mexican American comedian. He's enormous, by the way. I can't think of his name. He's a riot. There's a guy that he's a Jewish comedian, and he does the difference between Sephardic Jews and Ashkenazi Jews. I laugh my ass off, right? Then there's, oh God, what's her name? She's Catholic, or was raised Catholic, and makes fun of her family. Hilarious. And then there's the guy, he's Korean. He was raised in Tennessee. I can't think of his name, but he shows up on my Facebook page a lot. He's hilarious. So, you know, it's all about your sense of humor. John Panette would make fun of himself because he was fat. I mean, he was huge. And he really had a great sense of humor. You know, and Sam Kinison, you know, hilarious. But there are some that just aren't, and you know, they stopped being funny the moment they decided they could only make fun of one side, and then not even say something that was funny. I mean, look, Rob Schneider right now is on tour. Watching him take down liberals who try to heckle him is worth its weight in gold, right? It's worth its weight in gold. It's hysterical. We're not talking about that. So Jimmy Kimmel, he gets basically pulled off the air. He has not been fired yet. He's just been pulled off the air indefinitely. Now he has said, because he doesn't have a shred of human decency, he will not apologize. And that pretty much gives Bob Iger the impetus to tell ABC, don't bring him back. Get Rob Schneider to do it. Better yet, reinstate Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr would be perfect, right? Comedy is supposed to have edge. When you start being mean-spirited, and, oh, Emery, I don't know what you're talking about, but, you know, go fuck yourself. You're banned. You know, comedy, you should be able to make fun of everything and anything. There shouldn't be any sacred cows. Like, you walk into a comedian and all he is saying shitty things about Catholics. He's not saying shitty things about anybody else. You get up and leave because that's not funny. That's mean-spirited, right? So there's that. Yes, he's going to double down on it, and you know, because he honestly thinks that somehow, some way, somewhere, that you know, somehow his job's going to be saved, and it's not. My suggestion is, why don't you get a podcast and do it that way? You'll get paid. You'll have people that'll watch, and people that'll, you know, pay money and stuff, and maybe you'll get 1/8 of the viewership that Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn and Sean Ryan get, all right? Woke has never been funny. Woke comedians are not funny. They're just not. And it's dead. It's dead. And let me explain the bigger thing. So even my brother John was whining about his First Amendment rights have been violated. Urgh. No, no, because the government isn't prosecuting him or persecuting him. They're not. They're not the ones doing this. This is the right of association. To associate with anybody you want. And I'm sorry, if you're Jimmy Kimmel and you already have shitty ratings and you say something that bad and your lack of humanity, which everybody on the left has a lack of humanity that can't even be quantified. They really do. You got, Obama trying to defend it. Obama, by the way, is the reason why this shit started. That son of a bitch is the most divisive man that has ever walked on this country. Because he's the one that said get in their faces. He's the one that said threaten them. Right? And it's like, so you want to save this guy's job? Fuck you. By the way, if I was Erica Kirk, I'd be wondering if I could sue that son of a bitch, Tim Walz, Nancy Pelosi, all these people who did nothing but encourage violence. And then this happens, right? And don't sit there and tell me that Charlie Kirk said anything wrong. Even Stephen King had to apologize. Charlie Kirk, in his entire life, never said he wanted to stone Jews. You anti-Christian fucking bigot. And Stephen King, realizing that that's a slander, because then he saw the whole quote and went, oh shit. Went, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, and then he deleted the tweet. Too late, motherfucker. Too fucking late. Right? Mark Hamill is going back to doing this shit too. Why? I don't know. I really, if they think that they're untouchable now, after Jimmy Kimmel gets pulled, no, you're not. And now he's doubling down because he's a fucking moron. I'm like, I just go, you guys gotta stop. Look, even the Hollywood Reporter did a story today about how the whole story, that everyone in the mainstream media got the story wrong. Because they all know that left-wing propaganda isn't gonna work. Because Charlie is everywhere saying everything but what they accused him of saying. Right? So now, was Jimmy Kimmel's right of free speech violated? Let's compare him to Gina Carano. Gina Carano was asking questions and voicing her lack of confidence in the lockdowns, in the vaccine, and other things. And making comments about the mob attitude of the left. And she would not put pronouns in their bio because, it's stupid. And when she did, it was kind of funny. It was boop bop beep or beep bop boop or whatever, R2D2. And of course, all the trans that work at Lucasfilm and all the gays and all of their enablers shit themselves, right? And at one time, she was supposed to have a struggle session on a Zoom call with 40 of them. That's not bullying, is it? Gee, I think that's the definition, right? Meanwhile, Pedro Pascal can smear Trump voters everywhere as Nazis. Trump voters don't tell you can't say what you want to say. You're going to be responsible for it, right? We don't have to take part in your business. We don't have to go to the restaurant you work at. We don't have to go to the hospital you work at. Our kids don't have to listen to your shit if you're a teacher. And we don't have to turn on your fucking late night show, right? You can say whatever you want. You will be responsible for it. The only way it violates free speech is if the government itself targets you. And they haven't. And the lie that the FCC chairman made comments about what he said, and he was the one that pushed Sinclair. No, he didn't. If you look at what Sinclair said this was our decision. The FCC chairman had nothing to do with it. Why? Because they were losing millions, just like CBS on Stephen Colbert. Millions. And ultimately, that's the problem. Woke bankrupts you, right? And if you don't have money, you can't feed yourself, you can't feed your family, you can't pay your mortgage. And the point of owning television stations, a network, a film studio, an entertainment giant, is to make a profit and to make sure the shares of your company go up. So your shareholders, who are the ultimate power in the universe, can look at their portfolios and go, right? Nothing to do with Trump. Nothing to do with any of that. Now, he's happy because Jimmy Kimmel is a piece of shit. And Trump has, pointed at him and said so. And he is right. Jimmy Kimmel's rights were violated. He can go on YouTube, start his own goddamn channel, start his own goddamn podcast, right? He can go on Bill Maher, and Bill Maher can say, maybe you shouldn't really talk like that. Maybe you should think about the family, all right? Because Bill Maher hasn't talked like that. He's very upset by what happened. Bill Maher is the very rare, rational person in this. Now, will he be on Jimmy's side? Maybe. Because he was canceled. Bill Maher himself was. His show got yanked after 9/11 when he made the stupid comment that, the terrorists that brought down the airliners were brave. Everyone's like this. It just happened a week ago. What the fuck? Get him off. All right. He said it, and, whatever network, I think HBO, that had him on there, said, that's enough. Goodbye. Because they need people to watch their network, their cable network, and if people get pissed off, they're not going to tune in. Colbert, number 1. Now Jimmy Kimmel, number 2. So plays Cry Me a River over how his rights are violated because constitutionally they weren't. And if you think he had the right, if you think he was right to go out there and lie, you can go fuck yourself. You are subhuman. You lack any human decency whatsoever. Please go fuck yourself. Okay? And if you feel like you're being canceled, all I can say is what's going on with you getting fired from your job is not the same as what happened to Gina Carano. She was literally pushed out by doing nothing more than asking questions. The Fire Gina Carano hashtag came out of Lucasfilm. And, the racist dog whistle, or the anti-Semitic dog whistle being blown was proven to be false. And Disney not only came to the deal, table, she got her job back. And now it looks like she's going to be in Mandalorian and Grogu, right? Jimmy Kimmel was losing money for the same company, Disney. Gina Carano, in contrast, made money for the same company. There's nothing like it. No one was bullying Jimmy Kimmel because I would say a good chunk of Hollywood thinks he's right. Because a good chunk of Hollywood are a bunch of demonic parasites dry humping the lowest common denominator. A good chunk of Hollywood hate Gina Carano because she blew apart their narrative. And the narrative for Kathy Kennedy was, I want strong, independent women to be represented. Because strong, independent Leia Organa Solo wasn't enough. Strong, independent Padme Amidala wasn't enough. So we had to get the trans Rey out there, right? And then when Gina Carano showed up, the ultimate strong, independent woman, as Cara Dune, Kennedy had a stroke and went nuts and made Gina's life a living hell. And then when Gina posted that meme, which had absolutely nothing to do with Jews beyond the fact that it was a historical photograph of either Poland or Czechoslovakia after the German army came through, right? Okay, there you go. So there you go. Now let's talk a little bit about Star Wars. So one of my least favorite people, Daniel Rickman, posted that there was supposed to be a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer out today. I am going to be turned into a skeleton in an archaeological exhibit waiting for him to be right about something. Maybe he'll come out later. It's 10:10 in the morning on the West Coast, so I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. But, I don't know. We all know that there's a rumor that Doomcock put out there that Marvel is going to use Doomsday to erase everything after Endgame. Fine, I don't watch Marvel. I don't care. I think it's stupid. It's basically, from what I could tell, what we've been talking about. It's about time to put out a teaser, I think, and they could do that with what they've got. They're filming pickups right now. I don't know what's wrong with Daniel Rickman. I mean, sorry guys, my nose is starting to go again. I really don't know what's wrong with him. All I know is that he put that out there, and I saw it show up on Reddit. So I did a search. I haven't seen it. So he's fettuccine full of shit. Now we've got a rumor by Doomcock that Marvel's going to erase everything after Endgame, which basically echoes the rumor that Ahsoka is going to be the unraveling of the sequel trilogy. And they put what looked to be a still out from